Shamrock Shake 5K in the Galleria Mall in Johnstown. And as I just said, it is in the actual Galleria Mall. I'll show you this before I put it away real quick. This is the medal that I got. They gave me a plant for finishing second. Finished second overall in, what was it, 1914 or 1915? Something like that. There's the shirt. I know it's kind of trying to do it real quick to give you an overview, but anyway, it is inside the Galleria Mall. You do run around the full interior of the mall, through all the different sections of it, 7 times. Well, we'll call it 6.9 times. It is supposed to be measured off exactly 3.1 with the tangents. Take it into consideration. But with the GPS signal inside the mall, you really don't get an accurate reading. Let me see here if I can pull up mine. I only got 1.29 miles, which I know isn't correct. Again, with the GPS signal and some of those quick turns or whatever, around some, like, the, I want to call them corridors, you really aren't going to get signal bouncing around. I mean, you're inside, so you can't really expect much for a GPS signal on a watch. I mean, a phone, some people said they were a little bit better, like close to 3, but that's you know, using like a phone's satellite signal instead of a watch, because it makes a difference. I don't know, whatever the case may be. But anyway, you do 7 times around, well, 6.9 laps around the mall. It's early in the morning. We started at 8 a.m. so the mall's not open for shopping yet. I mean, the doors are open and stuff like that, but the stores aren't open, so there's not traffic. They do have it taped off, so you're going on the outside corridors, or the outside whatever perimeter of the mall. You're not, you know, cutting through in some, like, the middle open section, so they have that taped off so you don't get confused, which is pretty nice. And there's some arrows on the ground, like green taped arrows pointing in the right direction as well. Not that you really need it, especially after the first lap. So it's not a confusing course at all. It's pretty straightforward, especially after you see it once and even twice. You know what you're doing and what to expect. Let me see here. So I did finish second overall. My buddy beat me. My time, 19:15. I'll take it. Felt like I was running a little bit faster than that, but probably after lap 3 or 4, I did slow down a lot. Just pulling back, and just with people getting in your way, you can't really sprint, or, well, I don't want to say sprint, but maybe go harder than I was going, because not that people weren't paying attention, but people were running and walking themselves, and when you're lapping people and catching up to other people, you can't really be rude, or you try not to be rude, push people out of the way. So you do have to weave in and around people, so it does slow your momentum down a lot. So you have to take that into consideration. So if you're coming to do this 5K or any mall 5K where there's laps around it, I would go in with the mindset of more having fun, because you're not going to set a PR unless there's only like a handful of people. This had 214 pre-registered. Don't know how many showed up. I didn't look at the full results yet to see how everybody did, but, you know, even with like 150 to, you know, 170 range, even if that was all that showed up, that was a lot of people, especially when you're doing 7 laps. People aren't really necessarily spaced out in that half mile, or 0.4, I'm going to call it like 0.4, 0.45 distance. you know, that's still a lot of people, especially when you're taking corners and stuff pretty sharply. But yeah, something different. This is the second year for the race. I didn't get to do it last year, but I never did one of these type of mall races before, so I wanted to check it out, see what it was all about. With all the people that I saw pre-registered, I was like, oh, this is going to be a disaster. People are going to get in your way, and it's just not going to be fun by the end. And I will say this, it wasn't bad at all. It was a little bit fun, you know. Well, I guess because I had a bunch of friends here as well, you know, when I would pass somebody, they would cheer me on and stuff, so it did make it more fun that way as well. But it actually was a decent time, especially in the winter. This is what, March 8th. We got a little bit of snow, got a dusting last night, so the roads were a little bit slick. I know the parking lot here is slick. But yeah, I don't know. I want to say I had a good time. They did have a changing, well, I don't want to say a changing room, but they had a room downstairs on the first floor where we could switch out shoes. And that's where registration was, and the food and the awards was downstairs area. Well, first floor, as I should say, not downstairs, but the first floor area. And then the race itself was held on the second floor. So we, you know, they asked you to change shoes when you came in, so that way people weren't wearing like wet shoes or dirty shoes for the race, because they had the floor cleaned, I guess last night. So that was kind of cool as well, because I did worry about that. I wore my Endorphin Pro 4s, and I did wet my hand and try to get some of the dirt off my shoes when I got up to the start line. It helped maybe for a lap, but definitely didn't have as much traction as I would have liked to have had. I said afterwards they should have had some like stick-em mats. You know, those mats we use in basketball, just make your feet a little bit sticky. If they had like a mat like that they would use, I think that would help, that you can cross every lap. Would give you a lot better traction and grip on the floor itself, because it's a tiled floor, so you really don't get much grip at all with the rubber. You would think you would, but you really don't. Whatever. So there was a bunch of people, I thought, like younger kids and I don't want to say teenagers and stuff, like and 20-year-olds that I thought were going to take off and look like they were going to be serious from the start. But it was me and AJ. We just basically took off from the start, and we're 1-2 the whole race. He just slowly got me, and I just maintained the whole race on our positions, and nobody came up behind me and overtook me or pressured me the race, even when I slowed down, because I would look back at, you know, some of those quicker corridors and nobody was coming, so that took some pressure off. Felt good the first lap. I went out way too hard probably the first 2 laps. I'm gonna have to look at my splits, because we crossed the mat each lap, so they knew how many we actually did. That way nobody could cheat. Not that anybody would, but just for that simple fact that it takes that possibility out. And I know there's a bunch of people that actually did 8 or 9 laps because they got confused how many they were on. And the timer and stuff did try to call out when people did more laps. But the first couple of us, like, since we knew him, he was showing us like 3, 2, 1 as we came in. So that we were finishing in the right positions and stuff like that. Or crossing the mat for an 8th or 9th time, screwing the timing up. And then after the first 2 laps, I did start to get hot. By the 5th lap, I was just like dying. It just got too humid in there. And like, I don't want to say muggy, but like the air got dry and it felt dusty, dirty, probably from everybody just breathing heavy, kicking up dust or whatever. So I did have to pull my shirt over my head for the final couple laps. Whether that was a cool thing to do or not, I did it because I was just getting too hot and overheated, being indoors. Well, I did wear my one, like, I wore like a Green Lantern shirt, and I wore fedora hat. Let me see if I got the hat. Show everybody. Wore this hat. Be a little festive since it is a Shamrock race. Go with my Green Lantern shirt. See if I have it handy. But it's not the most breathable type shirt that I have. You know, just trying to be a little festive for St. Patrick's Day, so that's why I had to pull my shirt overhead. I just couldn't take it anymore. Then I just, you know, finished in that 1915. Then I took a bunch of clips, video clips of people finishing as well. I don't know, it just seemed that everybody seemed to have a good time, whether they were running or walking. The only hard part that I saw that people were having was keeping track of their actual laps. A lot of people just couldn't remember what they were on, especially at the end, which I guess is to be expected. Who knows? But it was a good time. Some snacks afterwards. Gallagher's had some chocolate milk and some Shamrock milk. The seasonal flavor, the mint flavor that just got released, so that was kind of cool. Just something different. I did take a video of the course. I did an extra lap afterwards as like a cool down. It's kind of shaky because since the floor really doesn't give, so it was kind of bouncy. And I was just using my hand as a stabilizer, so it's going to be really bouncy if you want to check it out. Again, it's not going to be the best quality, so don't bet you if the quality's bad. Just to give you an idea what to expect or what the course was like. And I will say, all right, so the race itself, what made it hard, first off, was taking those hard corners because they're squared. So you know, it wasn't like a normal corner, they were square corners. So when you're taking them sharp, sometimes I had to like grab the railing to sort of like wet me around. Because when you would take them sharp and that no give and then being on towel, like sometimes it felt like your feet were giving out from underneath you when you're, you know how you angle your body a little bit to make a turn. You're not just being Tom Turkey straight up and down. You got that angled turn, so your feet are, I want to say, like slipping or giving out. You got that feeling of slipping or giving out from underneath you as you're making some of the turns. And I know a couple of times when people would stand up, cut in front of me as I was going around a turn, I had to cut it a little bit tighter than I was going to, and I was thankful that I didn't take anybody out with me, like doing like a baseball slide out. And then just the general weaving in and out of people, and just trying to play it smart, and read what people were doing so you cut. Because they said walkers stay on the right, runners stay on the left, but well, like 2 laps in, people were just everywhere. Got a little bit chaotic, so you did have to weave in and around and sort of know through people's actions what they were going to do in front of you, because they weren't looking behind you who was coming, so you just had to read their body language to weave in and out around them. And quite a few times I just like slipped in through people, like 4 people wide, just picking that gap, going through them, or, you know, cutting a corner a little bit tight or wide, you know, watching the children so I don't trip on children and stuff like that. And then watching you know, walkers close, or like a runner going around a group, forcing people to squeeze and stuff like that. So if you did a bunch of races like bigger races where you see a bunch of weaving, you know what I'm talking about. I'm pretty good at reading body language with weaving and what's transpiring in front of me, so I didn't have any trouble. Like again, the only trouble I had with people cutting in front of me is when I was going, like, more or less going around corners. You know, people were cutting them tight and they took my lane away from me, or a couple times people were, like, say 3 people wide or 4 people wide, and they were closing a gap, and I picked, you know, a gap maybe like one from the right and stuff like that. So I took the gap before it closed, I guess. So stuff like that. It was good practice for like bigger marathons like Boston, Pittsburgh, to weave in and around people, and just a fun event for the Johnstown YMCA. And I would say it was a good time. And honestly, I would say I would come back. I thought this coming in would be like a one and done type race, just to knock it off the bucket list to say I did it once. But honestly, if I'm able to next year, I would come back and do this again. Just because it's something different and you don't get to do this that often. I mean, obviously, I don't know how many other races do this in PA, but to me, this is the only one, at least on the west side of Pennsylvania. So definitely unique. And I will say registration, start line, and awards and stuff went pretty smoothly. They even had like an Irish band playing downstairs. So I think it went over pretty well. And like I said, I did have concerns coming in that there was going to be chaos or whatever, which is too many people, but it turned out to be not too bad. But I would 250 probably would be their max that they should have. If they had more than 250, I would say that would be too much for this race. Capacity wise, unless you started walkers earlier, later, or you had them downstairs, because if you get any more people, it's just, I think it would be just too much pushing and shoving, and somebody would get hurt, or people would get upset for people trying to plow through or get in other people's way. So yeah, whatever. I had fun. I came in second. I'm happy with my time. 1915-ish isn't a fast 5K for me, but when I went out way too fast, first couple laps, it caught up to me and I didn't play it right, and I'm still not in 5K race speed shape, so I'll take it. And then again, I would knock 30 seconds off my time just having to weave in and around people and just watching I don't trip or fall into somebody. So yeah, we'll knock it down to like an 1830, 1840 5K with the crowd. So I'll definitely take that for now, until I can get back into the 17s on a road course. So check it out for next year. Check out the race course video. Hopefully it's not too bad for you. And thank you to the Johnstown YMCA for putting on a good race. I actually enjoyed it. Thank you to Leo, the owner of the mall, for allowing us to have this race. I appreciate it, and everybody involved, from the volunteers to the timers. So thank you guys, and the participants. Thank you to all my friends that came out and people I don't know. You made it fun today.